Caloroga Shark Media.
Hello, I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. Late night had some fun with Stormy Daniels testifying in the Donald Trump trial. We're covering that over on the Ballot podcast. Stephen Colbert said it was a historic day because Stormy Daniels did what she does best, and that's spank Donald Trump. Jordan Klepper hosting The Daily Show. Come on, Jake Tapper and Dana Bash, acting like you're too good for this, like you've never seen genitalia before. You're very prudish for people whose names sound like porn names. Seth Meyers. Stormy Daniels testified that she spanked Trump with a rolled-up magazine that had his face on the cover. And I think it's weird that the hotel even had a copy of Bankruptcy Aficionado. Stephen Colbert. Trump explained that he and Mulaney have separate bedrooms. Yes, we're having trouble falling asleep in the same bed because she snores and I bang porn stars. Seth Meyers. Stormy Daniels said in a phone call after the sexual encounter with Trump in 2006, he would always call her Honey Bunch. Honey Bunch, and you guys think Biden is too old? New topic, a Chinese zoo had some dogs that they painted and were passing them off as pandas. Colbert said, well, there's a simple explanation. The dogs are in a Christie Gnome protection program. That is great. All right, we got some beefs going on. This first one from Atlanta Black Star. I've read this a couple times, and I'm trying to make sense of it. Honestly, it's not the best written article I've ever read. I've read it 3 times, and I'm like, all right, let me get to the gist here. I will try here. The point being people accusing Katt Williams of ducking out of a party when Kevin Hart showed up. But let's see if we could figure out the details from this article. The event was the weekend brunch at the Netflix is a Joke Festival. By the way, that is not an easy thing to say. Netflix is a Joke Festival. We got to rename this thing, Robbie Pra. I mean, I stumbled over that 4 times. Made the edit this time. Apparently at the brunch, Dave Chappelle, Tiffany Haddish, Kevin Hart, Marsha Warfield, Mike Epps, Lil Rel, Dion Cole. They took a picture. Haddish told the Breakfast Club that the brunch started around noon and that she saw Katt Williams. She said, we was outside, okay, so we wasn't in the same room. Everybody was there, and Katt was there, and he was looking very interesting, very shiny, and it was super cool. Yeah, apparently Katt was dressed differently than me. He was wearing a hoodie and a baseball cap. He was talking to everybody, moving around the room and stuff. As soon as Kevin got there, nobody could find Katt. I don't know where Katt went, but he did perform live. She claims they took a group picture with all the comedians. Katt's not in that photo because Katt left right as Kevin pulled up. Meanwhile, Monique, who opened for Katt, took some shots at Oprah Winfrey. I will have to quite paraphrase here. Monique said, F you, Oprah Winfrey. F you, Tyler Perry. She then questioned the nature of Winfrey's friendship with Gayle King, suggesting perhaps there's more to their friendship, and said, I'm too MFing old to be scared of this bee. I'm too old to be intimidated by this bee. I'm too old to hold the MFing truth. Katt Williams did better in the ratings than the roast of Tom Brady. Kind of surprising, no? I find that very surprising. So is this bad for Katt? Because there was super hype on Katt. You know, I was stressing, should I blow off Deacon Mike and not go to Cleveland and stay home and Katt Williams? That would have been a mistake. Deacon Mike had an awesome party and Katt Williams' special was, all right. Everybody was waiting for Katt Williams to take shots, and he didn't really take shots at anybody. Anyway, Katt Williams won the ratings war. Streaming ratings are a little wonky, but we have learned that Katt Williams earned 4 million views, a metric determined by total viewing time divided by running time. That's double what Tom Brady got for 2 million. But this is where it gets wonky. The roast had more total viewing time at 6.2 million hours to just 4.1 million hours for Katt's special, but Brady's thing is 3 times as long, right? So I watched for 3 hours, so they get credit for 3 out of me, whereas I also watch Katt for 1, so they get 1 out of me. Makes sense? It barely makes sense, right? Yeah. John Mulaney Presents Everybody's in L.A. also made the Netflix top 10. They did not break out the viewers on that one, so who knows? Baby Reindeer remains number 1. That's really fantastic if you haven't seen that. Jerry Seinfeld's Pop-Tarts movie, Unfrosted, topped the list with 7.1 million views for its opening weekend. Kuwaiti rom-com Honeymoonish, number 1, 14 million views. Really? Okay. Netflix has made an edit to the roast of Tom Brady. What did they take out? No, not the Robert Kraft joke. They took out the booze of Kim Kardashian. That's lame. We all know what happened. Leave it in. Nikki Glaser having quite the moment. She went on the Howard Stern show, apparently thinking it's 1988, and told Howard Stern that she had cut some jokes out of the roast. One of the cut jokes, Tom, I love your work that you've done on your face. Seriously, slow down. What is happening with your cheeks? You look like a Ken doll that was microwaved. You love deflating things, so stop. Did I imagine that joke happened? What? That joke happened. I'm going crazy. I just took a pause and skimmed Nikki's set, and I didn't find that joke. Somebody did that joke. I'm not crazy. Help me out in the Facebook group. Somebody did that joke. Nikki said she also cut a joke about CTE. The joke read, "It's really cool. All the proceeds are going to CTE research and the NFL's coordinated effort to cover it up." She did make an NFL cover-up joke. I just played it back during the pause there. People don't know, but it costs millions to murder those doctors that know the truth. These guys really effing damage their bodies and brains, all for the sake of men hugging each other at a Buffalo Wild Wings. Nikki is on the Last Laugh podcast. That was recorded before the roast, and she told the Last Laugh, "I'm educating myself about football. I just learned about football from Taylor Swift. Now I'm doing all this research on Tom Brady, and I'm learning to love it and learning to really respect him. So I have a great angle, I fear, but it's terrifying. I haven't done a roast since pre-COVID. I thought it was behind me. I thought if they ever come asking again, I'm going to say no, because the last time I did one, I was 34, and if you called me old, it didn't really work, but now I'm 39, and this is old. They can make those jokes now or make fun of my looks. And it's not like I've gotten any more secure in my looks. It's painful to do a roast, so I'm kind of worried about that, but I'm in the state of mind now ahead of it where I'm just focused on writing, and I'm not even thinking about the jokes that could have been written about me. And that's always rough when you sit there and hear about how ugly I am or how unfunny I am. The Last Laugh said, "Well, you're definitely more famous now than you were at your last roast. Maybe you won't get those jokes." Nikki said, "Yeah, those don't bother me because I'm pretty aware of my level. I don't care if people say I'm not famous. I don't really care about being famous. I mean, yes, of course I care because it means more money, which means more security, which means I won't die in the apocalypse, which is my biggest fear. But I don't care. Please come at me for all that. I'd love it." She talked about limits put on it, and quoting Nikki here, "Dude, they kind of said don't go after the kids." And I was like, why would I go after his kids? You really have a license to say anything, because if they're there and they sign up for it, you can go after them. Now, jokes about Giselle, I don't want to frame Giselle in a poor light. I don't ever want to frame his kids. They're not on the dais. They haven't signed up for it. But anyone else, I will not pull punches. But I will say I have a lot more heart going to this one than I have in the past. I don't want to be mean like that. It has to be really good to be mean. Jim Gaffgan, Jenny Slate, and Tig Notaro talked Parenthood and the best and worst things about being a comedian today. Boy, doesn't that sound exciting. Don't you wish you were at the Prime Experience in Los Angeles? Nice move there, Prime Experience in Los Angeles, having your own comedy event in the middle of the Netflix festival in Los Angeles. I see what you're doing there. Jim, you've clearly chosen sides. Okay. Robbie Pra's going to remember that. Jenny Slate says, "There's much to love about working as a stand-up comic today. We have the opportunity to be really thoughtful about saying something deeply important about our own personal development, about the world at large, about current events, about censorship in art, and about what the current vernacular in art is." Jenny says, "Cancel culture is frightening. It's scary to be a person with a microphone, but it's also a great privilege if you're a performer and you feel that you're talented. If you pair that talent with thoughtfulness, I think it's a great opportunity to feel fully expressed." Tig Notaro was asked about the best and worst of being a modern-day stand-up, and Tig said, "There's so much going on and so much opportunity. It could feel a little oversaturated, but I don't know. I don't have any complaints. I started doing stand-up solely because I was obsessed with it, and so from open mic days to now, it's really neat to get on stage and want to just share these stories and experiences." Amazon, I'm going to remind you guys, across town, John Mulaney sitting there with Jerry Seinfeld. I mean, he's not talking to Jerry Seinfeld, but he's sitting there with him. What is this event? Why did you do this event? This is a bad look. Jim Gaffigan joked he started in comedy when there were wooden microphones. Yuck, yuck. Jim said he tends not to call his kids out by name in his act for the sake of their privacy, but he observed at the same time kids would rather hear you talk about them in stand-up than if you posted a picture of them. If you post a picture, that's crossing a line. But if you make a reference to them being misanthropic, they're like, yeah, that's great. When asked what's next for him, Jim Gaffigan joked, "I'm going to be Donald Trump's running mate." Can I tell you, I've been talking about how there's so much going on last week and this week that I could pre-tape all of next week and take a week off. I'm not kidding. The raw version of today's podcast was 20 minutes. It gets shorter after I clean up all the stumbles and stuff. But it's 20 minutes, and I hit save, and I'm like, oh, you forgot to do the festivals. And that's after I bumped 3 stories. I mean, there's just so much. Anyway, festivals tonight. CryptoCom Arena, 7:30. Sandra Schultz, Shane Gillis, and special guests. You got to do that, right? 8 o'clock, Tom Segura come together. This is reminding me, I forgot to look up what happened at their 5K. Apparently, the big news at the Two Bears 5K from the other day is that Jelly Roll finished it. He spoke to Entertainment Tonight. He said, I couldn't walk a mile when I started trying to do this back in January, so the fact that we got 3 point whatever it was, it's 3.1 Jelly Roll, got it down. I felt really good about it. Yeah, I understand, man. When I first started running, I couldn't do a 5K, and I've now run 2 marathons. Oh, here's a funny picture of Glaser with his shirt off and a medal. This looks pretty funny. Oh, and I digress more, as I threw Bert Kreischer into Google to see if I could find something about the 5K, but I see this headline. Bert Kreischer and Tom Segura react to Gisele Bundchen being upset over the Tom Brady roast jokes. A source told Entertainment Tonight Gisele was upset and hurt by some of the jokes about her relationships with her boyfriend, and her marriage to Tom. Her main concern is always her children and her family, and she wants to protect them. She found some of the jokes to be distasteful and disrespectful. Segura said, oh, that's awesome. That means everyone did their job. Kreischer jokingly said he had heard from Bundchen's camp and said, I don't speak Portuguese. I don't care what you say. That's funny. Kreischer said, to be fair, Gisele got half that check. Anyway, Netflix Comedy Festival. You see why these podcasts, I'm telling you, bumping stories left and right. All right, Schultz and Shane at 7:30, Segura at 8, Country Wayne at 7, Ali Wong again taping another show. This one I think was planned. I'm wondering if they're having trouble getting a special. Shang Wang, 9:45, love him. Somebody Feed Phil at 7, Nick Offerman at Friends at 7, Jared Freed at 7, Dane Cook is out there? I didn't know that. Dane Cook at 7, Jessica Kirson is sold out at 7, and I've seen very few sold outs on this grid. Kirson again at 9:45. Spinal Tap, the original 40th anniversary screening at 4. Felipe Esparza sold out at 9:45. Jeff Ross at 7, Josh Wolf at 7. He's really good, but you're up against that show at the Crypto Arena. Eric Griffin and Friends. And like the other days, as if I scroll down far enough, it gets uninteresting. All right, if you and I were there, we're going to Crypto Arena and we're seeing Schultz, Shane, and whoever shows up. Late show, we'll do Shang Wang. How's that sound? We are so long today, I'm not going to hunt for clips at Sydney. But I'll just tell you about a show that we haven't talked about yet. We've done Connor Burns from Scotland. His show's called Vertigo. A punchline-packed 60 minutes featuring submarines, relationships, and the inevitable family drama. The Scotsman gave it 5 stars, saying he's a great comedy talent. He's fearless and wonderful, hilarious. The List, 4 stars, but perhaps out of 4. Brilliant. Gags coming at you at a terrifying rate. Sheer fearlessness. He'll go far. We've got plenty left in this festival. There's just been so much going on with Netflix dominating, so a lot more Sydney next week. All right, tonight on John Mulaney's Late Night Thing, the guests, David Letterman, Bill Hader, Cedric the Entertainer, and music performance by Los Lobos. Okay, John Mulaney, write this down, because I watched the Monday night show. You are not taking my notes. Stop taking phone calls. The phone calls are terrible. Get rid of the robot. The robot's not working. Here's what you do. My first guest tonight is David Letterman. And then stop talking and let David Letterman be funny. Then when Bill Hader comes out, go, hey, Bill Hader, how are you doing? And then stop talking. Same note, Cedric, and then Los Lobos. Don't take a phone call in the middle of Los Lobos. I did enjoy Monday Night Mulaney. They're not taking my notes, says the guy in the basement to the guy dating Olivia Munn. LA Magazine had some folks out at the Netflix festival. They were at Bill Burr on May 3rd. They write, as for Burr, after openers Nate Craig and Dean Delray, he took the stage to spew his well-honed shtick about the sad state of the world. He was his usual curmudgeonly self, riffing on family life, white privilege, and male depression. His takes on middle-aged dudes at Guitar Center was spot on. Burr had a surprise guest, John Lovitz, trading barbs back and forth nonstop. These two old pros improvised put-downs with love that were just the ticket. Not the best review. Patton Oswalt at the United Theater on May 5th, LA Mag says, fans rained praise on opening acts Orlando Leyva, who clowned that he lost America's Got Talent to shadow puppets, and Benny Feldman, who noted that his Tourette's syndrome was like the abstract art of disabilities, joking that audiences say, I could do that. Patton referred to himself as the cartoon rat guy, and joked he'd rather be at the roast of Tom Brady happening at the same time across town. Patton lit up the room with stories about cat demons, the Planters Nutmobile, and an ill-fated trip to Hobby Lobby, then joked that he should have opened the show rising from dry ice smoke like ZZ Top. Gabe Iglesias was at the Palladium on May 6th. The show apparently was unruly. Hecklers and more than a couple loaded ladies had to be admonished for yelling out indiscernible nonsense and interrupting comics during the show. LA Mag says, we won't call out which comics got dragged or whether they deserved it, but let's just say that anyone can have a bad night, and the female guests on the bill experience what we're guessing is a rite of passage when facing a room full of drunk strangers who really only care about the headliner. Ooh, that sounds like it sucks. Bigger names like Dion Cole and Matt Rife fared much better, though we found Rife set and particularly his sex and trans material, not only mean-spirited, but painfully unfunny. I think we figured out Matt Rife, right? We figured it out, yeah. The crowd disagreed, and the controversial comic got a load of laughs. George Lopez got a third season for his sitcom Lopez vs. Lopez. Comedian Ethan Levine is trying to earn the Guinness title for most ceremonial first pitches thrown. He's out there this week throwing some first pitches. This week he's working the Chicago area, but not the actual White Sox, doing some minor league teams. And Levine told the New York Jewish Week, "I was just doom scrolling one night and I thought of it and checked to see if there was a record." He figured a small town mayor somewhere must have set a lifetime record for first pitches, but he didn't find anything. Guinness was like, 40. He's hoping to throw 50. He says, 1 million cold emails and cold calls later, I'm sitting outside of Dunkin' Donuts Park, which is home of the Hartford Yard Goats. And that's your comedy news for today. If you'd like this ad-free, open up the show in the Apple Podcasts app and click that Caloroga Shark Plus thing there. $4.99 a month. You get this and all the other shows on the network commercial-free. How about that, huh? Bargain. You should do it. Actually, it's doing really well. Like, I'm really excited about how well it's doing. So, yeah, $4.99 a month. And you can test drive it, 30 days free. If you're like, this sucks, or Johnny Mac doesn't get up early enough, I'm up at 4:15 in the morning, and he hasn't loaded the commercial-free version yet, I hate that guy. I understand. I'm working on it. I don't control the back end. I'm talking to people. It's a thing. It's not me being stupid. It's an actual thing. I'm working on it. See you tomorrow.